My top takeaway from the expert model was the understanding of what it means to be an expert and the valuing of lived experience alongside professional experience, and understanding that it needn't be one or the other, but rather a kind of mishmash of both of them, understanding how you utilize your lived experience alongside your professional experience in a way of being able to kind of diversify the way that you connect into the training or the session that you are delivering, and also connecting to the people in the room as well, and being able to weave both lived and professional experience into your storytelling and the way in which you deliver the subject matter that the session is revolving around. So definitely the valuing of the lived experience alongside professional experience was my top takeaway.
The biggest takeaway from me was learning that I am actually an operational expert in my field. Also the difference between being a facilitator and a trainer. That was a big takeaway. The importance of lived experience was massive, and I'm feeling much more confident now about being an expert.
Hi, I think my top takeaway from the expert module was around reconnecting with the facilitation skills and just refreshing myself of those and reminding myself that that is my background and that is an area of expertise for me. So that made me feel comfortable that I was in the right place as well. And I think the other thing was from the session was talking about using the experts in the room and really working with them and bringing them into the session and their experiences. So they are my two takeaways. Thank you.
My top takeaways from the tailored module is all about the layering technique. I found this element of it really useful in terms of using the legislation and the guidance to support that tailoring, but also considering how to apply that without actually overwhelming the delegates and possibly boring them as well. So the layering technique was really helpful to me when I was planning my courses ready to deliver. But also looking into the organisations, values and missions in particular, because that helps you really tailor your course directly to the organisation you're delivering to, and also finding out who is actually on your course. In terms of the team members and the dynamics within the teams, really help you to understand how to tailor it to the individuals as well, because that's where you're going to make a difference. If you can tailor it to the specific frontline workers and the needs of that organisation, then you will make such a difference to the service users ultimately. So they're my top tips from the tailored module.
Also struggled a little bit with thinking that tailoring was all about knowing your organisation and having an understanding of who you're delivering to at the point that you're creating the course. I deliver multi-agency training, fortunately in one area, so I was able to focus on a local picture as being the main base of my tailoring. So stick with the legislation, but the local policies, the local governance, the local procedures, to help me do the pre-tailoring. But also the more I read about tailoring, the more I realised that you don't actually ever stop tailoring, because once you've prepared your course, you think you know what you're doing, you then get your delegate list, you might tweak a little bit then depending on who's on the list. And then as the course starts running and people start responding in different ways, you then adapt and tailor what you're delivering all the way through to different responses from your audience. So yes, it starts huge at the bottom with preparing your course, but it's there all the way along. And I've learned a lot about different types of tailoring. It isn't just about finding out who you're delivering to and sticking in a bit of policy and procedures. There's a lot more to it.
My top takeaway for the tailored section of the course is that to meet the different needs of different audiences, you can change and adapt what you're presenting, and that will enable the audience to feel that you have met their learning goals and their learning needs. So by tailoring the information that you're delivering to the audience makes the audience feel that they've been heard, they've been listened to, and it's appropriate for them and they can relate to it.
Been enthusiastic about the training for influence course from the very start, but I think it's the engaging module that really, I found myself at work talking to anyone who listened about, oh, we've done this for ages, but actually we could do it better. I found myself talking to delegates on sessions about accelerated learning, and yeah, so just it sparked so many conversations and my interest in how I can make my own course just the best it can be.
I think I'm going to take away from the engaging module is about different learning styles and understanding that I need to recognise that even if just because I find something engaging, that it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody is going to, and that I need to also be mindful of things that I might not find engaging, so potentially haven't been using in my training, that actually somebody else might really need that kind of type of activity or whatever it might be. And so really kind of being more mindful of that and looking at ways of being more inclusive with the training.
My top takeaway from the engaging module was, I think, around pacing and energy, and being mindful of managing the delegates' energy and kind of checking in, and where there's maybe lower energy or quieter delegates and drawing them into activities, managing my own energy and making sure that I'm energized, so that I'm kind of modeling that to the delegates in the room. And changing the activities sort of fairly frequently to keep things energized, and bringing in movement and things like that.
Takeaway from the values model is probably that I was paying attention to my values when I was developing and delivering training, and I always found that to be an important part of communicating something that I felt was important to me. But by putting a little bit more effort and time into identifying other people's values, it gives me a really easy, visceral way to connect with them and help them really see the importance of what we're trying to learn and what we're trying to learn about together. So it's been really useful to have that perspective and make sure that I'm aware of everyone else as much as what I'm trying to deliver.
Away from the values model was some reassurance that I consciously think about values in all of my training, and I hadn't really explicitly thought about that before. And there's something about creating a safe space and meeting all of your delegates where they're at, because everyone in the room will be in a different space, and just to honour that, and to also have authentic warmth. So that's a new term that I've come across over the last few weeks, and I really like the term. So we can be authentic, but there is something about just having that warmth, and you can create that in a virtual space or in a face-to-face space. So yeah, it was reassurance that I do consciously consider that in all of my training. I think it's one of the core elements of good training.
When I first looked at values, I hadn't really thought of it before. It was just me. It was something which made me, and I've never really dissected it. And when I did, it started to make me feel quite proud about myself. And I realised, like others have said, is that my values came from my parents, who aren't they're no longer around, and it gave me a real inner pride and inner steel to think that really they're living on in my values. And I think that when I think about values, it gives me great energy. And for when I'm doing training, I think that energy is really important, and to drive the other delegates in the room by uniting them, by getting them to think about their values and how they align with me. I think not only have you got an energetic room, you've got a united room, and a united room makes a real strong statement within that room and with what I'm trying to portray. But I think that the thing which really resonated with me is Tammy's TED Talk, and I am really a little bit like an emotional shark sometimes. I think that's really because of my police background, and I just get on with it. But it resonated with me like I haven't seen anything like that before, and it made me want to put something online that it has probably changed me in quite a way which I didn't think was possible. So it's been it's given me a lot more confidence about the future. And when I look back and thinking of my values, if I can portray my values to other people, that's only got to be a good thing. So it's energized me in ways which I didn't realize. So I think I'll be forever thankful for that.